explosive first season, fans are eagerly awaiting the second season of Dexter Resurrection, but we still have no clear idea what to expect from it. Today we are going over the most exciting theories for what the next season of Resurrection has in store for us, starting with one of the most anticipated, the return of Al. Dexter spent a great deal of the first season of Resurrection hunting down and picking off the serial killers he found himself surrounded by. After getting rid of Red and finding the invitation from Leon, he couldn't help but accept it for himself. And once he met the motley crew Prater brought together to celebrate their kills, he knew what he had to do. They all had to die, according to Dexter, and he had no intention of stopping until he made that a reality. He started with the overzealous Lowell, killing him a day after meeting him. Then he got Neil Lapierre, aka Lady Vengeance, arrested before she could strike again, and she was later murdered in jail as she waited trial. Next he took down one of the incredibly cocky Gemini twins, and soon he did away with the other with no problem. That only left Al Jolly, and Dexter had a plan for him as well. Unfortunately for Dexter, Al was a step ahead and managed to give Dexter the slip before he could be caught alone with him. And while that was very frustrating, Dexter may have another shot to get Al on his table after all. Before he took out Leon Prater, Dexter found the secret filing cabinet inside the vault where he was trapped, which in retrospect seems like a horrible idea on Leon Prater's part. He used that not only to escape the vault, but he also took several of the files for himself so that he could continue tracking down serial killers with ease. And those files included Al Jolly's, whose real name was revealed to be Al Walker. With his real name and the rest of the contents of his file, Dexter would be able to find him in no time. And because he bothered Dexter so much by standing him up the first time, it's almost personal now. Dexter has every reason to hunt Al down, and now he has the resources as well. And Al has no idea that he is even coming. He would be blindsided by Dexter this time, so his little tricks and manipulation will have no impact on his survival. He's almost certainly a goner now, and everyone is pretty sure that he will be belly up on a kill table in a very short time. But the theories get much wilder from here. The expectations for Harrison are even darker in a way. Almost exactly like his father, Harrison was born in blood. After his mother Rita was murdered by the Trinity Killer, the traumatic events of his life didn't really stop. His father was constantly busy with other things, he was abducted and almost killed by the Doomsday Killer, and shortly after that, his only aunt was killed, and his father abandoned him. By the time he reached his early teens, the only mother he'd ever known was stricken ill with pancreatic cancer and later died. After that, he bounced around foster homes, developed a drug addiction, and then had to migrate back to the United States, hoping to find the father who left him behind as his last hope. It's no surprise that he is filled to the brim with rage, but he never wanted to be consumed by it. Unlike Dexter, who took Harry Morgan's word and instructions as gospel, Harrison had no intention of being the conduit for Dexter's urges. He may have been angry, but he never thought about killing people for sport or pleasure as Dexter did. When he found out that Dexter was a serial killer, he was initially impressed, thinking that his dad was just doing what was right when killers evaded justice. But after Dexter killed Coach Logan, the illusion was broken. He has a moral compass that Dexter lacked, and it has shown through time and time again. He was sickened by the sight of Kurt's dismemberment. He would rather shoot his own father than leave Dexter alive to kill another innocent man. And he would have rather turned himself in for killing Ryan Foster than continue being haunted by his own guilty conscience. His commitment to justice is undeniable. He didn't even believe that he was justified in taking out Ryan, a known serial rapist who was about to assault one more woman and threatening to do it again. Still, Harrison knew that killing Ryan was not the right thing to do when compared to just calling for help. When he killed Ryan, he was acting partially with justice and partially to placate his own inner darkness. He had been trying to push it down, but keep in mind he had already purposefully broken a kid's arm during a wrestling match and almost killed his classmate Ethan with no reasonable explanation. His darkness was seemingly always there, he just didn't embrace it the way that Dexter had. And he wasn't pushed to do so and told that there was something wrong with him every other day like Dexter was by Harry. He saw a chance to be normal, and he wanted that for himself. Wasn't happy with himself for having killed Ryan, but Leon's death seemed to affect him far less. He didn't kill Prater himself, but he helped Dexter do it by incapacitating him with M99. If he has been won over by Dexter's vigilante style of justice, what would stop him from finally embracing his own dark urges? He knows that Dexter took out several horribly evil killers in a matter of weeks. Harrison knows that they would have kept killing, so his father saved countless lives by eliminating just 5 people, none of whom valued human life themselves. The range of morality in that case becomes a lot less grey, and if Harrison already has the urge to kill, his feelings about holding that back may fade away slowly but surely. The guilt about his violent outbursts against his wrestling opponent Ethan and Ryan behind him, if he finds a person he does deem as a worthy target, he could very well finally accept his darkness and use it in a way he personally deems acceptable. Especially with Dexter back in his life, Harrison may even be able to perfect his methods, making it less likely that he will be caught or even investigated. He called Dexter Batman in New Blood, and perhaps as he delves deeper into his dad's world, Resurrection will see Harrison evolve into the Robin Dexter needs. When Deb found out that Dexter was a serial killer, she was disgusted. She almost arrested him herself. Even after he killed Spelter to give her some sense of relief, she was still only marginally okay with what he did in his free time. Deb had a strong sense of justice from a young age, and she wasn't willing to just hop on board with Dexter's murderous ways like Lumen or Hannah. She came to embrace Dexter's actions in her own way at some point, but he knows that she knew that it wasn't normal or necessarily right. That was made very clear after he almost killed Laguerra, forcing her to do it instead to spare his life, and even more clear after she tried to kill them both by drowning. Dexter's need to kill had a profound impact on her, and he could tell. Rarely does Dexter show signs of guilt for his murderous lifestyle, but when Deb died, he definitely did. He exiled himself and began hearing her voice as his guide after that, maybe for the better part of a decade, and gave up killing for that long. When he started killing again, she acted as the inner voice that may have stopped him, but the dark passenger was stronger than her influence. Part of Dexter knows that he is not always going to make the right choice, and the people from his past that he envisions represent the remnants of his own moral code, trying to ensure that he doesn't stray too far in one direction. Brian didn't want to see Dexter shackle himself, but Deb and Harry don't want to see him lose himself to the dark passenger. They don't want to see him overplay his hand or hurt innocence, and Harrison Morgan isn't innocent. Harrison is still a child. He is still more inclined to do good than bad, and he has shown his own desire to be happy, healthy, and just. So if he were to gradually begin killing, or if he had a victim selection that was clearly immoral and Dexter didn't stop him, what better moment for imaginary Deb to reappear? Already in Resurrection, we have seen Harry and Brian return as part of Dexter's inner monologue. Deb was another pivotal part of that for all of New Blood, and she was always very protective of Harrison. It only makes sense that we'd be graced with her presence yet again if Harrison actually does embrace his dark passenger. It may be wishful thinking, but Deb has stronger morals than Harry, and she would never guide Dexter towards selfishness or evil the way that Brian does. She would be an exciting addition to the second season, because with Harrison becoming more accepting of Dexter's need to kill, there is no one left in his life, internal or external, who could tamp down his urges as well as Deborah could. He and Harrison both deserve Deb's influence, even if Dexter is the only one aware of it. The stage is all but set for her to reappear, but Deborah's reemergence isn't the craziest one being theorized to return. Before you watch any further, I'm happy to finally announce that I'm releasing the first limited drop of my t-shirts. At the start, there are only 100 available, so make sure you buy them while you can at dtmerch.store. Enjoy the video. Hannah McKay is known to be dead by now. That's what Harrison informed. But outside of a quick mention of her funeral by Harrison, it wasn't really mentioned much or confirmed in any way. But is that true? It would be a difficult rewrite, but there is a non-zero chance that she never died at all. Keep in mind that Hannah is a master of poison. If we recall, she used aconite as her weapon of choice when killing, but that isn't the only substance she knew how to use to her advantage. After she killed Sal Price and tried to kill Deb, Dexter had finally had enough and turned over evidence for her arrest. And though she did end up going to jail, her time there would be very short-lived. Before she could even go to trial, she orchestrated an elaborate plan to have her old friend Arlene Schramm bring her a drug that would incapacitate her without killing her so she would be taken to the hospital. Once in the hospital, she broke out of the handcuffs that restrained her to the bed and fled the hospital without ever being detected. She clearly has the masterful ability to exit any situation she isn't comfortable in. She can blend into a crowd, and she is frighteningly crafty. Would she have abandoned Harrison? Maybe. She may have always wanted a baby, and she may have cared for him, but there is no one on this earth that she cares about more than herself. If she was tired of domestic life, her past actions make it quite clear that she would be more than willing to fake an illness and then her own death. And Harrison is a smart kid who has proven quite resourceful himself. She could have convinced herself that he would be all right, or perhaps even better off without her. It's true that faking your death is harder than pulling off a fake seizure, but if anyone could pull it off, Hannah McKay would be the one. Her ability to evade justice or her responsibilities is unparalleled in the Dexter universe. She truly is a master manipulator. Not only that, but no love interest for Dexter has been presented just yet. He had his time with Angela, and for about 2 episodes of Resurrection, there was romantic tension between him and Lady Vengeance. But by the end of the season, even Harrison had a budding romance, while Dexter was by himself yet again. His rededication to himself and his son almost perfectly sets up Hannah's return. She was obviously in love with Dexter in a unique way. She could have killed him, or at the very least Deb when she broke out of prison. But she didn't. She also had no obligation to adopt Harrison after Dexter disappeared. But she did. It's hard to know if someone as psychotic as Hannah can truly love anyone, but it's obvious that her feelings for Dexter were real and strong. With all of the news coming out of New York and everything she knows about Dexter and Harrison, it wouldn't be that hard to track one of them down by now if she was alive and really wanted to. It's unclear if this is anything the fans are really clamoring for, but that has never stopped the writers from including her before. If Dexter can be resurrected, who's to say Hannah can't be? That would really be a curveball none of us saw coming, but it wouldn't be the only theory that would blow our minds if it came true. There are still other people from Dexter's past with their own motivations for coming to New York. There is no doubt that the murder of Angel Batista was one of the hardest deaths we have had to accept as Dexter fans. Angel was on to Dexter. He knew he faked his death, and he was on the brink of proving that he was the Bay Harbor Butcher. Even though Dexter knew he couldn't let that happen, he still refused to kill Batista, even when he was served up to him on a silver platter by Leon Prater. Batista was a good man, and Dexter foolishly believed that maybe if he spared him, they could work together at some point, like he did with Deb. But Batista was not Dexter's ever-loving, wide-eyed little sister. He was a long-term friend and co-worker who was plagued with grief due to Dexter's non-stop lies and increasingly selfish actions. Dexter had caused the death of his partner James Dokes, his ex-wife and friend Maria LaGuerta, and Deb, who he loved like a sister. They all died because of Dexter. Now he found himself unemployed, unvindicated, and strapped to a kill table himself. Again, all because of Dexter. He had no interest in teaming up with someone who would lie to him and kill people for decades, including innocent people, all for his own benefit. Angel was done. A usually peaceful and understanding person was willing to kill Dexter himself with his bare hands. Unfortunately, he was in a room of lunatics during their final showdown, earning him a barrage of bullets to the back before he or Dexter could completely overpower the other. And sadly, that was the end of the Honorable Captain Angel Batista. Batista had a devoted wife, a daughter he adored, and his loving sister Jamie. And they may be fine to cry at his funeral and accept the narrative offered by New York authorities, but there is one person who may not take Angel's death lying down. They weren't just co-workers at Miami Metro, they were friends, and knowing Angel probably more like brothers by the time of his death. Day that Angel died, Quinn called him, begging him to get back to Miami, and Batista left under such confusing circumstances that his sudden death is sure to smell fishy to Quinn once word gets back to the department. By this point, Quinn will have lost both Deb and his friend Batista because of Dexter. He was killed in a secret vault dedicated to serial killers that was owned by a billionaire. What was he doing there? What was the motivation for his murder? Why was he shot from behind, and why so haphazardly? One search of Batista's hotel room or one conversation with the detective that found his body would give Quinn all the reason he'd need to dig into the death of his old partner. He did take a lot of voice memos. Batista's wall is covered with information about Harrison and Dexter. His final days were spent tracking Dexter down, and he wasn't shy about letting detectives Wallace and Oliva know that he was sure Dexter was the Bay Harbor Butcher. Not only that, but he made sure that Dexter was legally reinstated as being alive and under his original name. He lived in Miami, and people the police were hunting disappeared without a trace. He lived in Iron Lake, and the same thing happens. Now he moves to New York City, and now Batista winds up dead after investigating him for weeks. And that's overlooking Maria's death, Deb's death, and the skillful way he killed Oliver Saxon on camera before Quinn's very eyes. How many coincidences is he expected to overlook? Quinn has investigated Dexter before, and he only called off that investigation to save his relationship with Deborah. But that can't stop him anymore, because Deb is gone, and now so is Batista. There is no doubt that Quinn's patience for Dexter's nonsense is wearing just as thin as Batista's was before he was killed. Quinn has a bit more self-preservation in mind than the people who have tried to catch Dexter in the past, but he also got as close as any of them when Liddy took those pictures of Dexter and Lumen dumping trash bags off of his boat. If he did choose to look into Batista's death, there is no guarantee that Dexter would even be aware of it until he was closing in. And then what? Dexter couldn't kill Dokes. The death of Maria nearly ruined his sister's life, and Batista's death had such a profound impact on him that he probably wouldn't have the heart to take Quinn out himself. Whatever the end result, there is a high likelihood that Quinn will be motivated to get to the bottom of Angel's untimely death. That would be a major issue for Dexter and ensure that Season 2 is intense and action-packed till the very end. For those reasons, many people believe that this theory is likely to come to pass, but others still believe that there is an even more probable theory. We'd all love to see Quinn come back, but plenty of people believe that the continuous tie-in of Dexter's past life in Miami is holding the story back from focusing on what's next for him. He has evolved so much since Deb died, and even since his time in Iron Lake, his emotional development has come a long way. After reuniting with Harrison twice now, his concern for the well-being of other people has grown exponentially. He is in a new city, he has a new job, a new life, and a more mature outlook. What would we gain by constantly looping Miami and the cast of characters there into Dexter's life? Of course, it's hard to outrun the past, especially when someone has as many skeletons in their closet as Dexter does, so it's logical that these people keep popping up, but is it best for the franchise? Dexter Resurrection has an incredible new cast of characters that had everyone hooked as soon as they were introduced. Many of those people have been killed off by now, but their electric presence proves that there is a hunger for newness that fans are willing to embrace. Mia, Lowell, Al, Gareth, Charlie, Leon, Elsa, Oliver, and Wallace create a vibrant and entrancing new world for fans to sink their teeth into, and there is no reason to believe that Season 2 couldn't do the same thing. Maybe viewers are ready for a change, and maybe the legacy actors are ready to move on from their time in the Dexter universe. Either way, it wouldn't be surprising if we didn't get any more cameos of Masuka and Quinn. Perhaps the part of Dexter that remained in Miami died with Angel Batista. Only time will tell, but we are all on the edge of our seats and dying with anticipation. If you like this video, be sure to check out our video breaking down the 7 levels of Dexter villains. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe.